thought of this to share with you today. I read, how we were talking, and I know how you always love to talk about the 8 limbs of yoga and asana being just. I was actually having that conversation with someone,
It's a
a,
good
a
one to
friend of
have.
mine recently who's relatively new to yoga, and was saying something very, and you hear folks say this, and I love it. It's so endearing. They say, because I can totally relate to it. It says something like, "I can't do all the poses yet, but yet," and it's just such an introduction to just gently,
I
just.
can't do headstand.
I mean, I hurt myself pretty good years ago. 'Cause I think you might remember, like it's like
I do.
my ego was practicing yoga asana for me,
Yeah.
and I, and
And
I
that
just.
comes from somebody with a background in the weight training and even a personal trainer in another lifetime, right? That you were too. So,
Well,
yeah,
that's part of
and
what
you're a
gets us in
dude.
trouble. Well, especially, I mean, I don't know, especially those of us, men and women, who consider ourselves like strong, who like work out otherwise. It's very easy in some of those asana classes to just like, I remember one teacher at one time just, and I don't know if this was during teacher training or prior to that, who that was who said that, but just how easy it is for strong people to just muscle our way through
Totally.
certain, of more poses. And it's just, I don't know, it's just, I don't know, it's just so the opposite of what what
Yoga
divine
is.
union is, what yoga is union, right? But what I wanted to share with you was that I was reading
Can I
about.
break in before you share? Will you remember
Sure,
it?
yeah, go ahead.
All right, thank you. So I was just recently with somebody, and I don't want to say who it is because I don't. We both know him. It's one of our brothers.
Oh, there you go. You just narrowed it down. Okay.
And he was having some back challenges, and so I helped him with some energy medicine, and then asked him after like 10 minutes. I did 3 rounds of treating the area, and then asked him to go walk around the first 2 breaks in between, and then before the third interval, I asked him to actually stretch, and there was this bouncing that a lot of people do with stretching that isn't even good when you're not even in the yoga world, you
That's
know?
our dad. I love it when dad goes out for walks and I watch him spread his feet apart and start bending over to go boom, just start bouncing up and down. I love it. I love it.
I don't know where that ever
I
came in
love that,
from.
man.
Maybe
Go-
maybe it's the 80s. Like I'm getting
Yeah,
flashes of leg warmers,
totally. Yeah,
and
yeah.
and margarine. Um,
As we sit here in judgment on our high horses about that's not how you stretch. It's go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just trying to think back when I ran cross country in high school if I ever was in the bouncing. Anyway, and so I remember like not I remember. So I was helping him in the midst of like, because he's been doing so good with the meditation work, and he has this, him and Heidi together, each of them, to have these unique intelligences, I think is the best way to say it. And they've been cultivating this. I mean, Heidi has a creative and scientific background too, between both parents, and Alan with, his Star Trek and all of his background. So
Smart,
watching
smart
the
people, smart folks, and
vast intelligences,
yeah,
though,
intellectual. Yeah.
yeah, and watching the progress each of them report with meditation, to me, just seeing like guiding Alan to okay, no, I just gave his name right. We know who I'm
Well, you
talking
already
about.
said it. You already said his wife's name. You narrowed it down by 50%. It was coming. Go ahead.
Sorry, Alan. But it could be a great teaching moment. You're
Sure.
modeling.
He'll be all right.
So asking him to use those cultivated skills that he now has, the increased clarity in his intelligence, to be able to also, with the increased focus as a result of the meditation, laser focus that consciousness onto when he's in a pose rather than the rocking, like look at where the tightness begins, like just simply pulling. Because he asked me a question about bringing the knees to the chest and then wrapping the arms around the knees, and I was like, please stop that now, don't ever do it again. and bring your knees, yeah, but just start to bring your knees to your chest and notice where the very start of pain happens and hold it there, and then use the focus of your concentration onto visualizing that area as being loose and free. Because one of the things I've been perceiving is how much more our thoughts are able to create reality, just even in the last month, comparatively to the month before that. And then adding that with his own progress, you know. So I was just recently taking him out of the I must accomplish this approach
Yeah.
to, you know, to the poses and into the actual genuine rather concept of yoga, the applying the mindfulness to it. And it was interesting because he was ready to hear that. He was ready to even apply it. God
And
bless him.
there's a direct correlation there to just how we are in life to if you can if I can accept if I can forget if I can not look at yoga on Instagram and stuff and I can just do my practice and I can accept my body as it is and tune into my body as it is and do the practice and accept myself in that way without any comparison or goal setting, then I can do the same thing in every aspect of our life.
Which is what I came on talking about today. I rested instead of the going, and the payoff it's been for me.
Well, yeah, and I guess where I was going is like because if you think and kind of how I just started off with that little bit about my friend because if I say, well, I can't do all the poses, well, that means I think that I should be able. There's some part of me that thinks I
Exactly.
should be able to, right? And
Not there
so,
yet.
right? And so it's just so there's that word should. So just apply that to like the last time we were talking, and I said, and when I was screaming at my I wasn't screaming because it was much lower pitched. I was shouting. I was shouting at my car stereo. That I should be more centered than that. I should this and I should that. And so it's a really, and it's just such a common way for humans to operate that it's considered normal.
Dude, it's the nature of the ego mind to criticize.
Yeah. So, but what I was thinking about when I brought that up, I do love that story about our brother. Um, this is, and this is sort of related to actually what you brought up in one way that do you remember?
Oh,
So I was
yeah.
reading about it was just an introduction, a review of the yamas and niyamas, but basically, we think of them as like the attitudes that we cultivate as a part of practicing yoga, being a yogi, right? And what I read was that they're directional. And I got very curious about what he meant by that they're directional. And what I came to was it's just so encouraging. Do you remember? Well, by contrast, do you remember like growing up on Passover watching that movie, The Ten Commandments? Yeah, look at your face, right? Like, right. So, like,
For those of you who can't see the video, I just made a face.
it's Charlton Heston, right? It's like it reminds me watching that movie. It's kind of like people watching The Wizard of Oz. Like you
Oh, the
pretend that
exact opposite direction, though, of joy level.
no, I disagree because I find Wizard of Oz terrifying.
What part?
The whole thing, the entire movie is
Oh, you
terrifying.
would, David. I want you.
But you sit there and you watch that movie and you pretend like you're enjoying it. You pretend like, oh, it's a good story. It's so compelling. And it's the same thing with the Ten Commandments. I remember
That
growing up with
movie.
that movie. It's so interesting and so many dramatic things happen and it
Oh
was
God, no.
terrifying. Really, it was just so. And
Totally different experiences going on with these two movies you're
all
mentioning.
right, well then, forget about the Wizard of Oz for just a second and
I'll let
focus on
it
the
go.
Ten Commandments because
Okay.
this relates to
Swimming
something
in the
you
Red
and I
Sea.
have talked about as far as like the way that I experienced a religion as a boy. Um, and so that movie, because I always watched it, because I had this thing growing up that even if something was scary, I'd watch it anyway because I was interested. You know, that kind of like, I don't know.
Oh, you would do that.
I don't
As a
think I'm
boy.
unique in that way. Like you kind of can't take your eyes off something. So anyway, that's what how that movie was for me. But if you look at the Ten Commandments, like as they were presented, like it's thou shalt not, thou shalt not, that right? It's that sort of don't do these things or else. So it just that very like the Ten Commandments. That's the way I received them. I think I've spoken about this to you before. When I was reading about the yamas and niyamas, and I had read them before,
Look at how much
and,
gentler you are.
and thought about them before, but I don't know that I'd ever this concept ever dawned on me. Where,
You
yeah,
totally shifted, and you're like all relaxed and gentle now. And you were like this authoritative kind of like bah before.
yeah. Well,
What a
yeah,
contrast.
I'm putting my experience right. I mean, this is authentic. I mean, this is real because I do relax. I relax right into. This is why I practice yoga. This is why But what I'm trying in a very apparently long-winded way, trying to get across is what he meant by directional was that you as you there. It's not like you read these attitudes, these do's and don'ts, and you need to start implementing. Let's start practicing those from the very beginning, or else it's just these are the attitudes that practicing yoga cultivates, so you can make progress with your inner peace as you're like they're an end goal. The attitudes, they're an end goal. So like it's like you're working with them and toward them and among them, and all the while your consciousness is changing and you're growing. And it's like they're ways of living that you grow into, and your life gets better and more peaceful while you're growing into them. And like, wow, that is it's just so encouraging. It's like why not get started? Why not just I mean talking about like accepting what you're like a big brother accepting what his body is right at that moment, what it wants, just accept yourself just as you are and start practicing anything. It's so encouraging. Did that
You
make
know,
any sense?
totally. And there's a couple of different directions I could go, but the thing that's really pounding out of my consciousness is how much like I am aware of part of what's crumbling in the old paradigm, from the old paradigm, is that authority, that authoritative stance. Now, it's interesting because right now we're in astrology that's helpful with seeking out a mentor to help you along your path, right?
Yeah,
Mentor is totally different if it's done effectively than authority figure, right?
totally.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, and so this idea of like as people are starting to over the past bunch of years take more ownership and agency over their diet and what they're creating, that's removing the authority figure just from the doctor alone.
Yeah.
And so the religion aspect of authority figures, one of the things that's really interesting, and I think you actually said this last week, and I didn't want to interrupt at that point what you were saying, the idea of the direct relationship with the divine that happens and is encouraged in yoga versus the more westernized religions with the intermediary to be the communicator to the divine on your behalf for you. Now, that's great because people love a channeler, people love a medium, people love being able to see what they're not seeing with their conscious mind, but that's not how it's historically been used when it's combined with that position of power. Because I mean, you can look at Madame Blavatsky in Russia at the books that she wrote in the 1880s were another time of high spiritual activity, especially in here in the States too. I don't want to say especially in Europe. And Madame
Okay.
Blavatsky took a lot of the ancient esoteric and alchemical, more the esoteric mystery understandings from the West and put them forward in a book in the 1880s. That was when seances were popular in the 1880s. You may have seen movies and stuff with the 1880s period dress.
No, but I'm interested. I'm curious.
So what I'm getting at though is that like during that time too, there were, and it was more accepted at that time, the channelers, and it is more accepted overall in Europe, in the UK, I feel, than in the States, the aspect of channeling and mediumship. And that's not, and that's historic. I mean, that's throughout the ages, somebody who has that direct connection. You could think of
Sure.
a chief or shaman of the tribe. But even when you go to the shaman or the chief, that still implies positions of power. So part of this is our own projection, right? But I'm getting nitpicky here. If we just talk about priest or rabbi,
Yeah.
right, that's, and we think of like what the church has done throughout history, you know, I mean, the Mary Magdalene gospel not being a part of all the other gospels and not being discovered in the desert until the 1940s. You know, I mean, in her getting written out of the Bible, and then the art forms in the Renaissance creating her to be as a whore. You know, like just in the Committee of Nicaea in the 400s, when they met to decide on, okay, now that Christianity is so much more widespread, what do we want this religion to focus on? You know, Judaism used to believe in reincarnation. So all of these choices and decisions that men in positions of power made historically has led us to the experience nowadays where the majority of people are uncomfortable with that old form of authority. Even, and you can see it in our some of the most apparent leaders in the world right now. It just isn't. It's like when Ukraine was invaded, I was like, okay, read the room globally, you know, like, what are you doing? So, okay,
That's an
that
interesting
having
way to
been,
say that.
what'd you say?
That's just an interesting way to say that. Read the room. Uh,
Globally.
continue.
So the four, I feel like part of what you were describing and I was perceiving from the Moses positioning. I mean, that's the old paradigm, totally, with the thou
Mhm.
shalt and the shoulds and the authority and the fear. That's in a particular part of it because part of what I also hear you saying is you're talking about the inspiration provided from the yamas
Mhm.
versus like the fear inducement
Yeah.
from like commandments.
Hmm.
So all of that speaks to the heart.
But
The fear speaks to the mind, and the inspiration speaks to the heart. And we are coming into the heart times over the mind. We spent the last bunch of centuries developing from the age of reason. Yeah, now we're coming back into balance between the two.
well, there you go. I was
Well, there you go.
sorry.
We're done. All problem solved.
Almost. We're almost done because what you just made me think about was that because there's so many and I love how I mean it's true that now the teachings that I am drawn to are from are very focused, but it took a lot to get here. And one of the things that I had played with for a time was A Course in Miracles, and I don't think that it was. I don't pretend that I got full, I mean, because that's a serious, significant course sort of thing. I think I just maybe read like one book or one like a short course sort of. Just I was just kind of dabbling, and I read a book and read it again, and I don't think I hope that I'm right. I don't think that I'm pulling it from the wrong place, but I love how it just kind of comes together and matches up everything else that's been because in there it was talking about there's really only two ways to ever be in the world. You're always at any a given moment either in fear or in love. And so you're either in your head or in your heart, right? If you're just saying one speaks fear speaks to one and inspiration speaks to the other if love speaks to the heart. I mean, I can even think about it in terms of, I don't know. I find that so simple because you can think about all of the other ways to be, right? It's not just fear and not
Right.
just love, David, right? There's anger and there's worry and there's frustration and there's joy and there's
Anxiety.
yeah, anxiety, there's all those things, but all of like anxiety, well, that's fear. Anger, well, that's like it's all basically all of that
Brings
stuff gets
down.
lumped into fear, and all the other stuff gets lumped into love. So I just find it, I don't know, we because things can get so complex, and we make things complex,
Yeah.
and I'm always a
It's the
fan of
nature of the
simplifying
mind.
it. So if I can simplify it down to, well, in this moment, am I in fear or am I in love? You know, just and that's just a question of where is my consciousness, right? So
Or where am I allowing my consciousness to focus?
mhm.
Or even more so, where am I directing my consciousness to focus? And
Well,
that's one
yeah,
of our key
because we were talking.
powers.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That's one of our key powers.
That's like the discrimination, right? The ability to. Well, we were talking about being centered, right? Being centered is being able to.
Not shout at your radio.
Yeah, yeah. And that's why when you said, well, no, that's why I was adamant that I was not centered. I had
Yeah.
lost it. I had lost my center because in that moment I had lost the ability to discriminate, you know, what was actually happening, what was actually important. I was just, I witnessed something. It was so, I was wondering, I was on my way home today and wondering if I would bring this up to you. And here I am because I just witnessed something. I was walking into the market,
You do
and
that a lot.
what's
You in
that?
the market.
Yeah, I do spend. Are you like some people? That's like a
Mine's
form
mostly
of
delivered.
entertainment for me. Like I can, some people like shop in Target or go shopping like for clothes or so they go shopping for knickknacks or whatnot.
I used to be like that at Whole Foods. And then when COVID hit and I started to do the home delivery, I haven't come out of the home delivery
Really?
that much. I mean, I'm going to the markets more nowadays, but I'm still using the home delivery because it's a nice saver of time.
It is. Yeah.
But yeah, I
Oh.
hear you on the entertainment factor for sure.
Well, but I don't. Um, you got to watch out for that because that can become depending on what store, like Whole Foods is an example. I mean, if you go in there just like shopping, just like I think I'll try this and I think I'll try that, you will spend a lot of money.
$3,000 later. No paycheck.
But I witnessed some guy beeped at another guy, and the guy in front stopped his car. The car was still moving, so he must have like had it
Holy cow.
drive, but had taken his foot off the gas because he got out of the car to like go confront this other fella. He realized what he'd done.
In
He
the
pulled
parking lot,
over
dude?
in the parking lot, like right in front of the market. And I was because there was a road that would kind of continued through the parking lot. It wasn't just a parking lot. Like
Fresh mark?
you could get from one way to the other. This was down south. It wasn't right around here.
Okay, okay,
But
okay.
anyway, he got back in the car just enough to put his car in park, and then came out and shouted at this other guy. And this other guy was shouting back at him, and then they had a little shout back. He got back in his car. They were honking, and I was just walking.
Closer to New York City, in other
And
words. Yeah,
what
by
I
the way.
noticed though, and I guess this is I am glad that I decided to bring this up because what I'm noted just thinking about right now in this moment of just how much compassion I had for those two guys. Like I was thinking
Good for
about
you.
as I was driving up the road after that. I went in and did my marketing, came out, so this is, half hour later. And I was driving up the road and just thinking, like I was replaying the scenario, like imagine what might have happened if I'd have just walked up to the first guy who got out. Like if I'd put myself into the moment, like into this situation, intervened, not like a, hey, that's, but just what I was
What were you
what I was
envisioning doing?
imagining, what I was imagining doing was I don't know, was just saying something to the first man, just is this really how you want to be right now? Because he just
Bam! Fist in the face.
right. Well, yeah, that could very easily have happened, but I don't know that it would have because there's more that happens than just words when you say words. I mean, it depends on it depends on the
Sure.
what the moment is and if it's able to be received and kind of where I'm coming at with the energy. But coming at in I was just because there was he had I actually heard a woman's voice from the passenger seat say, I couldn't
First
see
car?
her in the first car for the guy who got out to say what she said, whatever his name was, and then said, stop. Like she was like trying to calm him down, right? That's what I overheard. So I'm just thinking about the whole scenario and just like, oh, I don't know. I just felt for them, like what that feels like to just to be not in your center. And I thought back to shouting at my radio. Like I know what that feels like. Thankfully, when I was shouting at my radio, it was just my radio. It wasn't another person, you know. But I don't know. It just there's
It's intense on planet Earth right now.
yeah. Yeah, like what was going so what was like somebody beeps at you. You don't just instinctively get out of the car. I mean, that guy was obviously having a very bad day to begin with, right? But just just stuff just happening. But I guess maybe the now that I'm saying the whole story, I guess maybe that's the thing that's worth bringing up is just how just what it feels like to view people behaving badly and at the same time think that they're doing the best they can.
I have so much being filtered right now not to say. View people behaving badly and trusting that they're doing the best they can. I know
Of
one of
course
the
they are.
response. I know what I mean. First off, is that even? I know we hear that a lot. Like people are doing the best they can. I don't know that I agree with that because there's some of the yamas. I mean, not yamas, but the more low vibrational states of being, laziness.
Hmm.
That's the first one that comes up. Lazy to not manage yourself. To let yourself notice the languaging. It's so different than just the reaction of not even aware of I have choice here in my reaction or response, just reacting without thought, but having compassion at the same time, like for that guy, because I know, America is a particular energy to be living in right now, comparatively, and if I were in another country, it would have its own innate conditioning and situation geopolitically and energetically, collectively. And I know that in England, you saw when you, no, you didn't because you took the train, the little country roads that are, you have to work with the people who come in the opposite direction in England. And sometimes it's a joke of like a Mexican standoff. That's what they call it over there, where neither person wants to go into reverse and find a place because it's all on all of these country roads and they're considered routes. They're considered A roads and B roads, mostly B roads. There's side pockets that you can pull into. Like I would, if there's a car coming at me and there's only one car can fit on this lane, one of us has to find this a place on the side to pull off into to allow the other to pass. So sometimes there's that Mexican standoff where the neither one wants to go into reverse. And they're kind of just sitting there like in a dual challenge almost, like you're going to back up, I'm not going to. But normally, like I have remarked so many times over there, Ireland too, Scotland, all of the UK, that my God, do these people work well together? And if this were in the States, there would be so much more road rage because we're used to so much more space and et cetera. So I'm bringing that up just out of what I just said, like the choice to have reacted in anger. And for God's sakes, I'm going to just let myself say this. Anger is the easiest reactivity for a man, in this country right now because of the collective consciousness.
But you
And
just said the choice to let yourself react in that way. There is no choice by definition because it's a reaction.
I know, I know, but I'm still elevating it to saying there is a choice. Because on some level, that person has to know they're choosing to react. Like in a split second of I'm already getting out of the car so quickly in such reactivity that I'm not even noticing if I'm in park or not.
Right.
In that there was the choice, and maybe even the attention to I got to put my car in park before I do this was the higher self saying, "Hey, look at you reacting." Like there is some moment of awareness, maybe not totally conscious, where that person could have stopped themselves. And at the same time, I'm also, there's compassion because it is so challenging on planet Earth right now. And in our country in particular, the jump to reactivity, particularly for the male gender, is very well supported collectively, energetically.
All right. Well, we will. I'll let that be the last word. I
Oh
think that
God, really? No,
yeah.
let's have something inspiring. In spirit, inspiring, right? So Chinese and yoga culture both believe hearts in the spirits in the heart. So in
Mm.
spirit, inspiring. Just wanted to throw that in.
Oh, I like that. Yeah,
Okay, here's one more, David. Prosperity, pro spirit.
that's two gems you're throwing out there. You got a third?
No.
Oh no.
I don't, do you?
All right. Okay. Well, this was fun to talk to you today. Middle of the
He
week.
says with a mild bit of surprise.
Don't stop. Don't stop. All right. We gotta go.
It's nice to see your face. Thank you for this time.
Thank you.
I love
Thanks,
you.
big sister. See you next time. I love you.
Have a great day.
Yes,
Enjoy the sun and the heat.
will do.